Welcome. We're going to do a quick run-through of the dynamic order allocation module today. This module process provides an automated solution for reallocating sales order line items that currently contain backorder quantities. The process goes out and identifies line items that have this scenario, the backorder quantities, and then checks inventory for available quantities that we might have now since the time we wrote the sales order. If it does find that we have some available quantity now and the requested ship date falls within our configured tolerance, the process automatically goes and unbackorders the line and allocates quantities to that line item on the sales order. And of course, there's a bunch of global configuration options that let you prioritize how this happens and put a bunch of restrictions on it. So let's run through the actual process. The first thing I'm going to do is kind of better illustrate the scenario that we're talking about. So let's take a look at this item, 17,000 t-shirts. I have none available in the warehouse. So somebody comes along and writes a sales order. So let's get one out here and we'll note the number. And note that I'm just sticking it in batch RG1 for right now. And I'm going to write this against the warehouse. 17,000. So let's order, I don't know, 25 of these. And you notice, since we're allocating by line item, we get the warning that we don't have enough. So instead of just overriding shortage and causing all kinds of problems, we're just going to back order this. Okay? So if we look at this now, we've ordered 25, we've back ordered 25, and of course nothing would be allocated. So let's save that. I have a credit limit override apparently. Get that out of the way. So let's say some time goes by and I get some inventory in to the system. I'm going to add some in through an adjustment. Doesn't really matter how it got there. It could be a PO receipt, manufacturing receipt, an adjustment, what have you. And we'll make it nice and simple. We'll bring in exactly what we needed. Could be more, could be less. So we'll post that. And if we go look at our item inquiry now, let's scroll so that'll refresh. So you can see that we now have 25 available. But if we pop that sales order back open, we're still in a state of it being backordered. So without this module, you'd have to go and manually unbackorder this, allocate it, or use whatever cumbersome routine exists today. Well, we have something better than that. From dynamic order allocation, we can set up a routine on a schedule that's going to go do that. So this is the interface, and it isn't something that you live in day to day. You set this up, and you leave it alone. We set it to run on a schedule. So if we'll look at the overall settings here. There's different ways I can order how the allocation is going to prioritize, because maybe there was many more orders than just this one, and we have to decide who gets what first. So that most people would do it by the customer priority, which is the field in GP, and then we'll just move on to the backorder quantity. But there's different ways you can sort this or prioritize it. Another thing is the requested ship date, tolerance in days. That's how many, a window of time and when we'll run this. There's no point in running the routine, like 2-3 weeks out. You're not ready to fulfill the sales orders yet. So I have mine set for 7. You got to kind of dial this in. And I'm going to move any documents that I allocate to a new batch called DOA for dynamic order allocation. And there's some other options here, but we're not going to get into all that. There's a bunch of restrictions you can put on this. I'm running it wide open, and what I mean by restrictions is, we'll take a look here. Document type. I could, by default, it's not restricting any of them, but I could make this so, it only runs against certain document types or batch IDs or customer IDs. So I could ignore certain ones if I want. Common ones are to do it by site ID. So I'm going to leave it wide open. And what we would normally do is come in and set up a schedule for this. Set it to run daily at such and such time, or every hour, or whatever you want. You gotta kind of have to dial that in. I'm not going to set up a schedule. We're going to run this manually. So we did receive that item in. I'm going to close this window just to be safe, so there's no lock in my batch. If I want to run it manually, I can just come in here and hit execute. Make sure you want to run it. Yep. And it's pretty quick on my test data. So if we go look, hopefully what we should see is that this order has now been changed. You notice it's not back ordered anymore. It now has quantity invoice of 25. And if we drill in, you will notice that we allocated 25. So this is all ready to go. And we moved it to the batch ID that I had configured, dynamic order allocation, so that it's easily visible. If you're using the handhelds to fulfill sales orders, this would you'd probably have this move into the batch that they work out of, and they'd be all ready to go. So that, in a nutshell, is dynamic order allocation. You may also want to take a look at another module that's very similar called order allocation postponement. If you watch the demo overview on that, you can learn a